seeing this onshore flow. Now, the concern is when Matthew comes along, we're going to have surge, perhaps 3, 6, maybe even 9 to maybe 12 feet. And a 12-foot surge would actually put water where I am standing on this bridge on top of this bridge. Now, if we pan over to the right, you can actually see another bridge that I was standing on a little while ago, and that bridge is actually a few feet higher than what I'm standing on. That bridge would probably perhaps have water just below it, but the concern is then you have wave action on top of the storm surge, and that is what could push into some of the homes, some of the hotels, and definitely cause some damage. And again, people really underestimate the power of moving water. It can do a lot of damage. Yes, the wind, definitely a concern. With Matthew coming this way, we could have sustained winds, 70, 80, 90, maybe 100 miles per hour for a clip. That's going to do enough damage, but flowing and moving water with waves on top of that also doing quite a bit of damage. This hotel will be fine. It's lots of steel, concrete, but there are other homes all up and down the beach. I noticed earlier today, maybe half of them were boarded up, half were not, and that's a big concern there. Hence, the mandatory evacuations. They want people off these islands. When the winds get to 40 miles per hour, they shut down the bridges, so there will be no way off this island, and even the first responders are leaving, so there will be no one to come for you if you need help. So we've been stressing that for days now, and now it's getting into the last couple hours here in northern Florida, and it's pretty much crunch time a little farther south. South Florida, yeah, time is over. Hunker down and ride this one out. Let's get the very latest on where Matthew is, how strong it is, and how soon we'll start feeling some of those hurricane force winds approach the coast, and check in now with our hurricane specialist, Carl Parker. Carl?
All right, Paul, so we've still got a Category 4 storm right now that is moving to the northwest at 14 miles per hour, and we do expect that it's going to really start to affect the coast of South Florida. Coming up here in the next 2 to 3 hours, we'll take a look at the radar picture in just a moment, and the storm now has a pressure of 938 millibars. Now, this is the biggest concern. This is the storm surge forecast, 4 to 6 feet there, parts of Broward and Palm Beach counties, and then northward, you've got a 7 to 11-foot storm surge forecast. That's a tremendous amount of water. You cannot stay along the coast with a surge forecast that high. If you do stay, you're putting your life in your own hands. And also, power outage is a huge concern. That'll be widespread across the eastern part of the state, and we do expect to see a large part of Florida. We're looking at possible power outages with tropical storm force winds reaching all the way over into Naples and into Sarasota and Tampa. So here's the radar picture, and what we've seen in the last couple of hours is that very intense core moving right into Freeport there in the Bahamas, home to about 55,000 people, and it looks like they pretty much took a direct hit from that storm. Unfortunately, Nassau eluded the worst of the wind. I think that Freeport did not. And you also notice there's a secondary ring of storms on the outside edge right in there. And what's happening is that secondary ring is getting stronger, and it's going to start feeding off all of the warm and humid air that's trying to get into the core of the storm to the point where it cuts off that inner eye wall, and that inner eye wall actually then begins to collapse. Now, once that happens, the intensity of the storm can come down, but at the same time, the area of strong winds can also expand outward, and so that can mean an even longer period of very strong winds. And again, they're not very far away right now at all. Winds gusting to 43 in West Palm Beach. And as we get a little bit tighter and look at the high resolution radar, you see one of these stronger bands now just about 30 miles away from West Palm there in the northern and northeastern part of Palm Beach County. And so it's probably about 2 to 3 hours away. And as that band comes in, we're going to see very strong winds slowly spreading across 95 and then coming up into Martin and St. Lucie counties going through the rest of tonight. And here is the model forecast showing you how that's going to go down. There's the extremely strong wind driving into Martin, St. Lucie, and also Palm Beach counties. This is later tonight. Winds may be gusting over 100 miles per hour as the storm moves in, and then that's going to move up the coast, get into Vero Beach in the overnight hours, also pushing a lot of water against the coast. Right where you see those strongest winds is where you maximize the surge potential, and this is mostly happening right along the coast here. You've got winds spreading inland as well, but because of frictional effects, because of trees and structures and terrain, it slows those winds down. So the winds that are coming off the water into the coast are the very strongest winds. That's where the worst of it is. And then that's moving into Daytona Beach into tomorrow morning. Starting to get very windy in Orlando. That'll continue through the morning hours in Orlando and areas farther north and west. Winds could gust to hurricane force well inland, as the core of the storm is likely going to be right on the coast at that time. And then going up into northeastern Florida, winds driving into Jacksonville. Very heavy rain along with that as well, and that's going to exacerbate the storm surge concerns. And then finally, we see the core of the storm coming up into Savannah and southern parts of South Carolina going through Saturday morning and into Saturday afternoon as well. Paul, over to you.
Hey, Carl, big question about the Georgia coastline. We know we're definitely at risk of surge here across Jacksonville Beach and all the beaches here in this area. But what about the Georgia coast? A very unique design of that coastline. Could they even see higher surge than other areas here in Florida?
Yeah, you know, I think there are a couple of different concerns as regards the Georgia coast, Paul. One is that, as you mentioned, there's a concave nature to the shoreline, so that's going to really help to focus that surge coming into Georgia. Another thing is that there's a more shallow continental shelf, and that's also going to help to build up the water more. You get down into Florida, especially the southern part of Florida, and the continental shelf drops off very quickly, and that minimizes the surge risk, but you've got more of a shallow shelf here near Georgia. But on top of all that, we're going to be looking at very heavy rain coming into southeast Georgia, so water's going to be flowing down through the rivers, coming out into the mouths of those rivers, even as the water is coming in from the ocean, and those two areas coming together. So the surge could be really profound there in southeast Georgia. A lot of low-lying country, Jekyll Island, Brunswick, and then getting up there into South Carolina as well. The Sea Islands, Hunting Island, up towards Edisto. All of these spots looking at a really significant threat for storm surge flooding from the storm. Paul?
And Carl, one last question. Let's talk about the future of Matthew. Again, the models are starting to kind of loop this off the shore, but then perhaps moving it back towards the west and back towards the southeastern U.S. as we head towards next week.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is the forecast track and intensities from the Hurricane Center. What you see here is a Category 1 storm coming up towards Charleston, and that would be late on Saturday afternoon. And then, as you mentioned, the storm pulls away from North Carolina, drops back down into the Atlantic, and so it does appear that North Carolina is, for the most part, going to be spared the worst of this storm. Maybe some effects there in southern North Carolina, but it's not going to be coming up across the Outer Banks. And then, as you mentioned, it comes back down and could actually loop back down towards Florida, but it likely will be much weaker by that time. That's the good news. The bad news is we will see a very strong northeasterly flow, and that's only going to add to the concerns along the beach there in terms of coastal flooding and beach erosion. We will already be recovering in a very big way. Let's get out to Dr. Forbes right now for the latest on severe weather.
Thanks, Carl, and it's been a very active day. We've had more than a dozen tornado reports in Kansas. We still have a tornado watch across the area from Wichita up into the Topeka, Manhattan area, and all the way into parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. Goes until 9 o'clock, as well as the threat for 3-inch diameter hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now, lots of severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment from Kansas all the way down into parts of Texas. No tornado warnings at the moment. Eastern parts of Kansas, a little bit cooler, so the storms that move into there may weaken just a little bit. This is one of the storms that earlier had a tornado warning on it. Now severe warning for Marshall, Pottawatomie, and Riley counties. Then quite a line of thunderstorms east of Salina. Earlier had been individual storms of tornadoes, and down in the area east of Wichita, south and west of the Chanute area, with quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flood warnings for some of these areas. Down into Oklahoma, some of these storms have had tennis ball size hail. Elk City and north and east with severe thunderstorm warnings. And then down toward Altus and down into the Childress area, severe thunderstorm warnings and some flash flood warnings. And we do have severe thunderstorm watch for this Oklahoma area, including Oklahoma City and just to the west of Tulsa. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Bridgestone engineers are helping Larry Fitzgerald go long.
I don't need help going long.
Bridgestone's dual Lenza Plus is engineered to go 80,000 miles.
It's over 14 million first downs.
Dang, I love anything that goes long. Long hair, long passes, long dogs.
We're going to do this for 80,000 miles?
You can walk if you like. Long hugs, long weekends.
Now through October 31st, buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires and you can get a $70 Visa prepaid card by mail. Plus, you can get up to $140 when you use your CFNA credit card account.
Bridgestone, your journey, our passion.
When the night has come and the dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
Hey guys, what's up?
So the new recipe of Beneful is really excellent. The first ingredient is chicken.
Man, this chicken is spectacular.
I had to start hiding the bag because he would try to put his face in it all day. Yeah, you love it, don't you? You love it so much. I feel like when he eats Beneful, he kind of turns into a puppy again. It's protein, it's vegetables, it's grains. I mean, like, that sounds like a dinner I'd make for myself, right?
Hey, it's a big bag. Just have some of mine.
Try new Beneful Healthy Weight with chicken. Now with real chicken as the #1 ingredient. Healthful, flavorful, Beneful.
Why be in the kitchen when you can be in the moment? Olive Garden now offers catering delivery. We make the food and deliver it to your door so you can enjoy what's important.
Free Communication Weekend, that's how I started on eHarmony. Being able to see who I was going to get matched with and communicate with them was a really good introduction.
This weekend, connect for free. Now through Monday only. No credit card required.
Tired of redosing antacids? Try Duo Fusion. It's 2-in-1 heartburn relief. The antacid goes to work in seconds, and the acid reducer lasts up to 12 hours in one chewable tablet. Try Duo Fusion from the makers of Zantac.
If I can get quality coats for everyone and save a lot of money, why wouldn't I? So we're here at Burlington. They have the same styles and brands for so much less. It's really cool. All the money I saved at Burlington goes into the Luna Family College Fund.
My insurance rates are probably going to double.
But Dad, you've got
Allstate. With accident forgiveness, they guarantee your rates won't go up just because of an accident.
Smart kid.
Indeed. It's good to be in good hands.
Earlier this year, we started selling Kraft macaroni and cheese with no artificial flavors, preservatives, or dyes. And guess what? Kids didn't notice. Neither did dogs. Kraft mac and cheese. It's changed, but it hasn't.
We got the TemperFlex, and it's got the spring and bounce of a traditional mattress. You sink into it, but you can still move around.
And now that I have a TemperFlex, I can finally get a good night's sleep.
Buy the most highly recommended bed in America for as low as $25 per month and a 90-night free trial.
Stanley Steamer is the first carpet cleaning service certified asthma and allergy friendly. It's our new standard of clean. Call about our $99 carpet cleaning special.
Call 1-800-STEAMER. Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner.
Little Dakota's nose was quivering in fear because it knew an ordinary tissue was near. The fiery tissue left her nose sore and red, so Dad slayed the problem with Puffs Plus Lotion instead. Puffs have pillowy softness for Dakota's tender nose, with lotion to comfort and soothe when she blows. Don't get burned by ordinary tissues. A nose in need deserves Puffs indeed. Now get Puffs Plus Lotion in a squeezable soft pack.
We are here on Juno Beach. I want to show you as the winds pick up a little bit here from Matthew that is back still in that direction, well off the Atlantic. Let me just show you what's going on here. Anything, the sand is blowing, it's blowing down at ground level. You can see the white sand at the top. That's this very fine sand that is really just picked up by the wind and blown all the way over. There is a lot of discussion about storm surge. Let me go back a little bit. And I'm going to show you where about the high tide line is. You can see it right here with the seaweed. So let's say that that's the high tide line. When we say storm surge, and we're saying 6-7 feet of storm surge in this area, with northern areas having the potential of 11, what does that mean? Well, I'm 6 feet tall. So you're talking about water above the dry line at high tide. That's where we're standing right now. Think of 6 feet of water that's over my head up against the coastline here, barreling its way inland, being shoved by these strong winds, hurricane force winds that are right now with the center of this storm about 140 miles an hour. That's why people are concerned. When you get an 11-foot storm surge, that's basically unsurvivable. It's a story, more than a story tall, of a building of water rushing from the shoreline all the way inland. And it can travel inland. That's the real concern about storm surge, and I just wanted to show it to you. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Sam. Sam Champion down in Juno Beach. Same concern here in Jacksonville Beach. We're about, say, 6 feet above the tide line, and I'm standing over 6 feet tall. So again, the water could potentially get as high as I am. Then you have waves on top of that. Definitely a concern. This hotel will fare okay. Could get some water on the first floor, but in terms of the structure, it is okay, built very well. There are a lot of homes up and down the beaches here. Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach, all under mandatory evacuations. People should not be here. They are definitely at risk for losing lives and property. As we pan off to your right, you can see that's one of the bridges that kind of bridge some of these dunes because they want to keep the dunes intact, which means they don't want people walking over or through them unless they have bridges or paths like I'm standing on right now. And that is actually one of the higher bridges around here. You can see water perhaps at the base of that bridge, maybe not over it, but definitely at the base. But then you have the waves on top of that. Definitely could get over the railings of that beach. You can see far down there, again, a big concern. We have some dunes, but farther south into Florida, the dune line is much bigger and taller. So definitely a big concern as you head up here towards the northern Florida coast, then to the Georgia coast as well. Let's bring in our hurricane specialist, Carl Parker, now to talk more about the position of Hurricane Matthew and even the outer bands, Carl. They're getting as far north as Daytona Beach at this hour.
Yeah, that's right. It's a very big storm, but the worst part of the storm is now not very far away from West Palm Beach and also Fort Lauderdale, and it's been really interesting to watch the internal dynamics of the storm. It's undergoing something called an eye wall replacement cycle, and what's happened here in the last few hours, you can very clearly see that well-defined inner eye wall. That was the feature, that tiny little feature there that had incredibly strong winds, well over 100 miles per hour. Well, now this secondary eye wall is beginning to take over. That ring of storms outside of that's beginning to take over, cut off the warm and humid air that's normally feeding into that inner eye wall. And so the inner eye wall is gradually going to collapse, and the secondary eye wall is going to begin to contract. Now, when that happens, that brings down those stronger winds in the core of the storm, but the overall wind field begins to spread out. And so overall, that may help out a little bit in terms of the strongest winds, but this is still an extremely dangerous storm and still a huge storm surge threat now reaching up and into the south coast of Florida. Now, there's a look at the current winds. Winds now gusting to 43 miles per hour in West Palm Beach and 28 in Fort Lauderdale. And the strongest winds are not very far away at all. You see that there's that secondary eye wall that's been developing. And so probably, Paul, within the next 2 to 3 hours, we're going to begin to see some of those really strong winds coming up into northeastern Palm Beach County and getting into Martin County as well.
And Carl, let's talk about that forecast. Is the National Hurricane Center still breaking that eye just close to land, or is it going to make landfall somewhere along the Florida coast?
Well, you know, you look at the official forecast track, and it is, as it's been for a long time, sort of half on land and half off of land. And so the thinking is that it could very well parallel the coast. It may actually make a landfall there in Florida, but it's possible that it does not. But it's going to be very close either way. Back to you.
Yes, impacts will be huge, whether it makes landfall or not. Near hit could be just as worse as a direct hit. So definitely a concern here all across Florida, but it doesn't stop here. Concerns in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Our continuing coverage of Tracking Matthew continues after this.
Welcome to Long John Silver's, home of our new $5 Real Deal box. Dive into our wild-caught 100% Alaskan whitefish, natural cut fries, hush puppies, dessert, and a drink. It's our $5 Real Deal box. Because at Long John Silver's, you deserve more.
Discover more at our Columbus Day sale. Buy one, get one free on almost everything in the store. With all Traveler and 1905 suits just $229. And all dress shirts now $2 for $89. Plus, take an extra 50% off all clearance. Only at Joseph A. Bank.
What if an insurance company wasn't only there when things went wrong? Because for every tornado, there's a twister. For every crash, an even bigger collision. And for every tailspin, well, tailspins. State Farm understands that getting the most out of life doesn't just mean being there when things go wrong. It's about being here in all of life's moments when things go perfectly right.
Dangerous weather can happen anytime, anywhere. I'm Sarah Thompson with Save the Children, and we know that simple steps families take now keep children safe later.
Getting prepared as a family helps children feel protected, not scared. Start by creating ICE contact cards. Make and practice an emergency plan together, and pack a go bag for each child. Your kids will know you're looking out for them.
When we get ready together,
we can ride out any storm.
Currently in our area, 64 degrees under sunny skies. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, slight chance of a rain shower, low 56. Winds east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, considerable cloud. Friday night, rain, low 58. Chance of rain, 90%. Rainfall around ½ inch. Here's our 7-day outlook.
To feed your phenomenal, Lean Cuisine is changing with 7 options made with organic ingredients, like Vermont mac and cheese with organic pasta and organic sweet corn and poblano peppers in our cheese and bean enchilada. Lean Cuisine. Feed your phenomenal.
Anything meant to stand needs a stable foundation. A body without proper foot support can mean pain. The Dr. Scholl's kiosk maps your feet and recommends our custom fit orthotic to stay